Keys to the Shop, episode 414, The Secret Ingredients for a Successful Coffee Shop. Well, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DeFirio. I'm your host for the show. Of course, I'm so glad to have you along today. If you're new to the show, welcome to Keys to the Shop. I'm really excited because there is so much that we have on the program that has been published over the course of the 6.5 years that the show has been on the air. And so if you go to keystotheshop.com, you can search all of the past episodes, and I would encourage you to subscribe to the show as well. That keeps you updated with all the new episodes as it comes out. You'll get a notification and you won't miss great episodes like today's episode. So subscribe to the show, and do please share these episodes with your team, with your coworkers. Let people know Keys to the Shop is a great resource if you want to build a wonderful coffee operation, lead people well, and grow yourself as a coffee professional in the cafe. Now, one of the things that I spend a lot of time doing is working one-on-one with people who are either opening up their first coffee bar or operators who have been in business for a while and seen some success, and they are wanting to take it to the next level. They are wanting to maybe solve some issues that have come up and or take on some projects and make sure that they're doing as much as they can to be successful in those projects, or they're scaling their business and they want to make sure their systems are in check. There are lots of other examples where I get to coach these wonderful people and their businesses to find greater success in specialty retail coffee. And I would love to talk with you if you're looking for somebody, a trusted advisor to help you find clarity and people-first solutions for a sustainable and thriving coffee shop. Email chris@keystotheshop.com and we'll set up a free discovery call. We'll talk all about what you got going on and how Keys to the Shop Consulting can help you. Again, that email for Keys to the Shop Consulting, chris@keystotheshop.com. It's no secret that people have a lot more of a particular taste for coffee these days than they used to. And that's because we have, as an industry, been training them. And along with training and relationships and good farming practices and all of that, having the right machine will unlock the potential of all of that great coffee. That's why I'm excited about the ground control Cyclops brewer from Voga Coffee. This machine uses SCA award-winning technology to give you control over an incredible range and depth of flavor in your coffee. That is like getting to know your coffee all over again. It just changes the game. And not only does this make batch brew coffee in an amazing way, but with its extraction technology, it can also make tea, batch iced lattes, batch cold brew. So it can be applied over a lot of different beverage categories, allowing for better workflow, more profitability, and of course, higher quality. So to learn more about this wonderful machine, if you're looking for quality on another level, you're looking for more efficiency, more applications across your menu, and a beautiful looking machine on top of that, then I definitely recommend getting a ground control Cyclops brewer for your cafe. Again, check them out over at groundcontrol.coffee. One of the things that I love about working as a barista is the face that people make when they see something beautiful go across the counter and into their hands. When you're ordering plant-based beverages, you want to have that same experience with latte art, just with great texture combined in a flavorful balance with the coffee. This is what the Barista Series from Pacific gives you. The Barista Series is the line of plant-based performance beverages that is designed for baristas and approved by baristas all over the world. And they are the leaders in plant-based beverages for a reason. No matter what you choose from their lineup, it will stand up to the heat from steaming, create amazing silky texture, and also keep the flavor balance of the beverage focused on the coffee. So this is all stuff that your customers look for in a great experience, and Pacific delivers it in spades. So go to pacificfoodservice.com, get samples in your store, try it for yourself. I think you're really going to be impressed. If you're looking for the best plant-based beverages to serve your customers, I recommend the Barista Series from Pacific. Okay, everybody. Well, today I am excited to talk to you about the secret ingredients for a successful coffee shop. And, I got recently back. I say I got back from Coffee Fest. I really didn't go anywhere because Coffee Fest was in Louisville, where I live. And so it was like 20, 25 minutes north of where I am in the city. And it was really cool. I got my son and my wife were able to go, and they were able to see me speak. And that was really sweet. And my son's never seen me speak. And I don't think my wife has either. It was just really a great time. I always love getting to meet new people, and you hear a lot of stories about where they are in their journey and the questions that they ask during these conversations that we have, whether it's a workshop or it's a lecture, and then we talk afterwards. It is really telling of how we're approaching running a successful coffee shop. Now, if you're going to a thing like Coffee Fest, or you're listening to a podcast, reading a book, you are watching a YouTube video or something like that, you're going to be trying to pick up the best practices and the tips and the tricks. And you should. I mean, there's a lot of really good technical information. And on the other end of the technical information and the how-tos and the 5 steps and the 7 ways, there are things that are a little bit more, I think they're harder to grasp because they're born from, experience. They're born from something that's not downloadable. It's not a PDF, but they are integral parts of the whole of what makes a successful coffee shop. And you can look at successful businesses all over the world, people who have been on this show over the years. They have developed their brand and their reputation based, one, on good decisions around, finances and location and good legal practices and all of the basics of business, right? But there's something else in the mix there that is not so obvious. And that's the whole point of today's episode, is to try to shine a light on what some of those things are. Because without them, all we've got is a collection of tampers and portafilters and cash registers and people milling around. And, there isn't yet any breath of life in the business. And that's what it looks like when you walk into a new coffee shop. If, as you're listening to this, when you first opened your coffee shop, or if you're going to be opening your coffee shop, you'll experience this. You walk in. No customers have come through yet, and it feels like a lot of potential. You don't know what's going to happen. It's really kind of a cool place to be, but there isn't yet a personality. There isn't yet a soul to the business, because that's created in the doing. And it's not only created, it's curated, which means it is selectively grown to produce a particular result. You have a say in that. How you hire, how you approach opportunities, everything that we'll talk about today, I think, is going to contribute to how your business connects all of the stuff, all of the data and the people and the things that are kind of like assembled together to make it come alive. And with that life that the business gets comes resilience, learning. The business becomes its own thing, and it builds momentum. And that's what leads to sustainable business. It's one of the things that we want that other people have, and we listen to a podcast and there's some hints of it. So here, let's talk a little bit about what goes into a successful coffee shop that's kind of like a secret ingredient that you can be looking to put in the mix and or recognize when the opportunity arises and take advantage of the opportunity to cultivate these things in your business. So the first thing would simply be that you have to have a culture of caring. You really have to care. You can do the work, check off the checklist, but there's a big difference between having a group of people who care about not only the work, but they care about having self-respect, and they care about themselves in the sense that they want to do good work. They seriously want to be true professionals. And in fact, I'm reading a book called True Professionals right now that's really fascinating. And I might talk more about that once I'm done with it. But so far, it's really great. But one of the things that he talks about in this book is that there is a basic quality of what a professional is. And it's not somebody who is a technician necessarily, somebody who can pour great latte art, or they are technically a wizard at spreadsheets and they can get a schedule out on time. But there is something else, rather intangible, I guess, that is basically caring. Now, as a professional, you want to care about the work because you care about people. And that's a great combination. And your culture is just another way of saying this is how we do things here. And there is a framework that you have to look through, whether that's your mission, your values, etc. There is a way we do things here, and it prioritizes care. We care, and we want to innovate ways to care more and better and in the right areas. So care is not just I enter in with this idea and I just stick to it for 7 years. You have to also be willing to learn to care in different ways. So same thing with, a relationship like myself and my wife, there is ways that I can care for her that are going to be different 14 years into our marriage than they were 8 years into the marriage or 2 years into the marriage, because the relationship takes on a life of its own. And that culture of caring and being open to evolving how we care and just saying like that is non-negotiable, that we do care, is what makes a business more than just a business. It makes it successful. It makes it an entity that creates impact. And so a culture of caring is extremely important to cultivate and to make sure you're assembling a group of people who have an innate sense of caring and taking themselves, others, and the work seriously, and finding and innovating ways to care along the way to greater degrees. And so that brings us to the second thing here, which is that you have to have a service mindset, both internal and external. So service as in a form of caring would be, how can I better serve my coworkers? How can I serve the people that I'm in connection with? If you're a manager, it's your baristas and it's your boss. If you're the owner, it's your managers and your baristas. Anybody who is in your sphere of connection is somebody that you serve. It goes, in lots of different directions. Sometimes we just get caught up with trying to do the bare minimum and we say, well, that's not my job, or I'm expected to do this. If we really want to see something magical take place in our coffee bars, then our mindset going in has to be trained on recognizing ways that we can serve people through our actions. That starts with our intentions, and we won't recognize those opportunities unless we're training our minds to try to find them. And so service mindset internally and externally, of course, we want our customers to feel acknowledged, welcomed, included. We want them to feel like, yes, this was a caring place. This was a place that there's something about it. There's that phrase, there's something about this place. I don't know what it is. And people try to nail it down. It's kind of like describing flavors of coffee. People want to get the right words, but as long as you love it, that's enough. Just like I would say, drink the coffee you love, go to the coffee bar you love. And love in a coffee bar and the feeling of love in a coffee bar comes from, first, again, that culture of caring that manifests itself in a service mindset that's internal amongst the people who work there, and then external to the people who go there to interact not only with the coffee. They're not there just to grab a cup of coffee, even if that's the stated goal. There is something else they're looking for. That is why even the most staunch transactional person that you could think of in your coffee bar who is there just for the coffee, if you're rude to them, they'll let you know. I thought they just wanted coffee. So if they're technically just a transactional customer, then they shouldn't really care about how we treat them, but they do. So subconsciously, they're looking for something deeper. And if we ourselves are not looking for something deeper, then how can we provide it for them? So the secret ingredient here is service mindset that's internal and external. And what this does, what these first two things do, is that it takes what is just a recipe or an assembly of things and it adds soul. It gives permission for people to feel at ease enough to offer themselves to the space as customers. It makes me as a staff member feel at ease enough, even in the stress of craft and work. I can still feel at ease while I'm also straining to do good work. And I will offer better parts of myself to the business, and the business will take that as an input, as an ingredient, and it will create something that is just such a great synthesis. It just makes it successful. So that's how you get the soul there, right? And here's the other thing about a secret ingredient for a successful coffee shop. Here's the next thing I want to talk about, which is I believe it's your job as the owner, and something you can pass on to other people, to make the intangible tangible, to allow the coffee shop to pinpoint for people the things that they might be trying to pinpoint themselves, or at least to make it obvious enough that they can spot it. And that might be the values, for example, like you have certain values that they're intangible in that you can't take a card and bring them home with you the way you might be able to if you have a dossier of, information on coffee that is with the coffee bag. You just bring it home and read about the farm and all this other stuff. When it comes to values, I think it's easy for us to just assume that people are going to get it, but we need to take those thoughts and the passion that we have. I think the passion especially is that intangible thing, and work at always finding ways to articulate it in the life of the business. This might be better stated as basically taking your values and putting them into action. You can put them into words too. And when I say articulate your values in the life of the business, I don't mean simply repeat your values all the time. Like, remember, kids, our values are, good work and timeliness and all this other stuff, right? It's more about connecting life to the values and putting those values into action first yourself, because most of this stuff is going to be caught versus taught. And hopefully you're hiring people that already have a seed or have developed these character traits that you want. But when it comes to making the intangible tangible, that allows people to go, oh, yes, aha, this is what good trainers do. They give people that aha moment, like, I see, it clicks with me now. My goal is that you would be able to see that it's not just passion for coffee, there's something deeper. And when you get it, when you truly get it, it's not that you just get the way I think about it. Now, when you think about it, it's yours. It's something you own. It's something that you bring with you and you add to the mix. There's a depth of flavor to it. It's like people who, there was a recipe for pasta sauce. Some pasta sauce recipes will use ground up anchovies, and you would never taste it in the sauce, but there's something to it. Some people will add actual espresso to chili, like, 3-bean chili and that kind of thing, only because it adds a mysterious depth to it. And when you can own the values, and when you not only understand the way I see it, but also you own a certain way of seeing it yourself, and it harmonizes, that's what creates a tangible experience that customers can feel, they can taste. And I tell you, you can go into a coffee shop that doesn't have this, and you will feel it. You want to get out of there, right? You will go to a place that does have this, and it is a delight. And hopefully they're close to your house. Or if you're passing through, it's like, oh, I wish they had this place close to my house. How can you make your coffee shop that shop where people say, I wish we had one of these in my town, right? That's a worthy goal. And it starts with values in action and making the intangible tangible for you, your staff, and therefore your customers. Now, here's another mindset that I think would help you, and it's an ingredient to make a successful coffee shop. You might be like, okay, yes, of course, it's patience, but not just patience. Realizing that long-term success is based on putting down roots and developing and giving time for development in longer cycles than you might be comfortable with. Now, of course, if you've got yourself in a place where you need to be profitable at, this juncture or that juncture, I'm not talking necessarily about that. What I'm saying is you will go through ups and downs, and the patience you have for the process is kind of a curiosity about discovering what it is you've planted. I always think about a coffee shop as a seed that you're kind of sure what it is, but you're not 100% of what it's going to look like. Not even things that you know what you're planting. You don't know 100% what they're going to be when they grow. There are some tomato plants that will just be taller than other tomato plants. You have a seed for a tree. You ever notice that a lot of trees can look different? You can have an oak tree next to an oak tree, and they just look different. The seed was still the seed of an oak, but it grew differently because there was different information in it. You can open one store and then open another. They're going to be slightly different. And your culture and your community and the time of day and the, the direction of the wind, it's all going to be this kind of beautiful and mysterious unfurling of something that you're not necessarily in control of. You have to have due diligence and faithfulness. That is part of what you are responsible for. However, you also have to balance this with a long-term view of success based on roots and patience. Without that, you will stifle growth, natural growth, and you will artificially inflate certain parts of it that will either, damage it, or it will make it top heavy and not allow for strength and resiliency. And so in the midst of today's culture of hustle and easy come information, I think it would be really wise to find a way to think in terms of years rather than days, and really embrace that you too are in a process of growth. And if you expand too quickly or you artificially grow this location or this business, it's not possible for you to do that to yourself. So even though you might have more locations and more products, etc., you might curse the day that you didn't really let your business have more slow time so that you could catch up with it as an operator and as a leader, because now you haven't personally matured to the point to be able to handle that, or you haven't accumulated the team and the team hasn't accumulated the skills to be able to handle what the business is doing right now. We're just impatient with the process. It can lead to some devastating results. So again, long-term success based on putting down good roots and patience. Another thing I want to talk about is self-knowledge and accepting risk in the refinement process. Let's start first with self-knowledge. Okay, so there is organizational self-knowledge, which is its own episode. We'll link to that in the show notes. And there is self-knowledge, like self-awareness. We talk all about how your power is not for you. If you're an authority of any kind, it's for others. And self-awareness allows you to enter spaces being aware of your power so that you can better serve people with your power, and they will see you as an asset and not a liability, which is so often the case with owners and with management or anyone who has authority. So not only that, but we're students of our organizations. We want to listen to what they're saying to us. I said this weekend at the Coffee Fest, problems are opportunities that our businesses give us as like a form of communication. It is the language they're using to tell you, here's what I need now at this phase of life. I'm no longer a toddler. Now I'm this age. Now I'm that age. And I'm going to need different things. So you don't get rid of problems. You just graduate to different ones. And each new problem set that you graduate to is a victory in a sense, right? There's never going to be a problem-free existence in your coffee shop. It's just you can know, almost like counting the rings on a tree, where you are in your growth process, okay? But you have to have that mindset for curiosity and self-awareness and organizational self-knowledge in order to see that and not completely let these things derail you. And you as a person, as you grow, you need to grow in service to the people and the place that you are serving. You are serving now this living, breathing thing. It is a coffee shop. It is not just a business. It is an interaction and an exchange of life through coffee that many people rely on for something way deeper than just caffeine. And that's a noble cause. So we need to treat it as such. And that can be risky because it means that we might need to die to certain parts of ourselves that either we don't bring into work with us or that we need to change. Whether it's changing something in the business because that's what it needs, or it's changing something about the way we operate as people, there is going to be some risk involved. Refinement is a process that is basically applying heat to something to draw out impurities, and it creates a finer and finer version of that thing. And if we don't want refinement, then what we're saying is we're good to stay exactly the way we are forever. I don't think that's truly what we want. And if we get what we wanted, it just didn't have patience, and we just had immediate gratification for the moment, we would feel slighted by the future if we could just fast forward 10 years and say, what if we never had any refinement? What if we were totally impatient and we just did what we wanted to do right in this immediate time? And I was the exact same person and we just did everything the exact same way. I mean, yeah, I think it would be disaster. And frankly, that's what a lot of coffee shops might experience. They may be able to hang on, but they're undergoing needless stress because they've rejected the refinement process. They've rejected self-knowledge or trying to get to know their business well enough to make decisions for refinement. And so self-knowledge and acceptance of risk in the refinement process is necessary in order for success to come to you as a coffee shop. And ultimately, success is not necessarily only profitability, because profitability is basically just financial, right? You're profiting. Now, that's great. You should be profitable. And that's something you should strive for. But what is the goal there? You're going to do something with that money, right? The Great Game of Business, I forget the author's name, I think ran a farming equipment refurbishing company in the Midwest. He said that his goal was that everyone in the factory would be able to buy their family a house with cash. And that was what they wanted to do with their profits. They wanted the business to make successful those who were attached to and impacted by the business. And so that's a really interesting goal. It's not just about decimal points, commas, and zeros. It's about the impact that those things have later on. It's about what you do with those things. And that's the last thing that I'll share here, which is you have to have the ability to judge success based on your mission in your big picture. All of these things are just tools. An espresso machine is just like money. It's just like a tamper, just like a grinder. These are all just things that represent something else. What does it represent? It represents potential. Potential for what? That's up to you, right? That's up to your mission. What are you after? Why do you do this? It's hard. You have to have something bigger than just, tasty coffee. And that's it. You have to have something that is driving you beyond that. You have to have the return on mission in mind. The return on investment, yes, we want profitability. But again, unto what? I think the noblest causes I can think of are the ones that make the biggest impact on lives. And when you see that happening in your business, when you can say, yes, we are profitable, yes, we are creating magical moments, internally and externally for all of these people. And I see that our mission is being fulfilled live before my eyes. There's nothing like it. There really isn't. And being able to judge success based on your mission in the big picture of the business is going to create a more successful business long term. So we've covered a lot of things here. And I don't know if any of you are in the habit of re-listening to episodes. I've heard from a few people at Coffee Fest that they do re-listen to episodes that strike a nerve specifically. Personally speaking, I need to hear things a few times. This may be one of those things that you need to go back and make some notes to. How did these things actually, for you, jump out? And What is it about your business, where you are right now in your business's growth, where you need to add some of these ingredients? And opportunities are being presented to you to encourage the development of these things. Again, we can create spaces with layouts and people and equipment, but where's the soul? Where's the culture? Where's that magic? It comes from ingredients like these in the mix. And I hope that you take today's episode and create some magic where you are today. So with that said, I'm really thankful for you joining me on the show today. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback about today's episode, then please do email me, chris@keystotheshop.com. It's also where you can reach out for Keys to the Shop consulting, coaching. I work one-on-one with you, both large and small ways to help you refine your business. chris@keystotheshop.com is that email again. Now, I did mention Coffee Fest quite a bit here today, and I do want to mention it again because it is coming up. Last two shows of 2023 are in Anaheim, California, and in Orlando, Florida. So coast to coast, and they are great locations. I am really excited to go. And Coffee Fest is, I don't know how to explain it to you, but there is so much benefit there in the lectures, the workshops, the trainings, the discussions and panels, and the camaraderie that you have with other professionals coming to learn. I see people talking to each other all the time. They're coming from different states, different countries, and great connections are made, not just with, vendors, but also just business to business, encouraging each other. Coffee Fest has been facilitating this for 30 years, and I really would love to see you at these shows. I go to all the shows, presenting, judging latte art, so I hope to see you there. Go to coffeefest.com to learn more about these upcoming shows, and when you sign yourself and your team up for the show, you can get 50% off your registration by using the code KEYS. That's KEYS. And that applies to general admission only. So use the code KEYS, 50% off general admission for Anaheim and Orlando. Check them out. Awesome resource and opportunity for you and your team at coffeefest.com. And with that, that is the end of today's show. I am so thankful for you all listening to and supporting the show. And I really hope that you have an amazing day. And please be sure to share these episodes with your team, with your friends. Let people know about Keys to the Shop. Share it with Tom from MySpace. And as always, I hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.